So you're living in two worlds. You're living in the world of intuition and knowing, being an empath, and then you're living in the world where everything's fine. The house is on fire, but everything's fine. And you're going, no, it's not. But nobody says that. So you're always like on the edge of everything. That voice has always been there. It was saying to me that this is not your life and you think it's yours, but it's not yours. You're able to feel it and sense it, but it's not yours. I remember for the first time in my life, I couldn't feel the connection. It was like, where's it gone? It was so depressing because depression comes from lack of connection. You're not feeling connected to yourself or to life or to anybody.
Biba Logan, thank you for being here. I'm really curious to learn more about you. It seems like you do many different things. You're a visual artist, you're a multidimensional hypnotherapist, and you have a podcast where you explore consciousness. I saw on your website that you mentioned that there was this one childhood experience that planted a seed that guided your entire path. So if you're willing, I'd love to learn more about what that was for you.
Thanks for having me on your podcast. It's always a pleasure. So there was one thing, the spiritual journey is so layered and multifaceted. It's very hard sometimes to articulate it, but I remember I was either 6 or 7 or 8. I was small. When I was young, I was very intuitive and empathic, and so for those of you who are empathic know that like what people are feeling and what's going to happen next and what they're going to say. And not like in a movie where it's all laid out, but you just know there's a lot more information available to you than what other people are able to access. And also, I didn't understand why adults felt one thing but said the other. I didn't understand because I knew how they were feeling, but they'd say something else. Every single adult I ever met was just like, that's a lie, or that's not true. And then I began to understand that that's just what people did. But when you're young, like there's no internet, there's no reference. So you're living in two worlds. You're living in the world of intuition and knowing, being an empath, and then you're living in the world where everything's fine. And the house is on fire, but everything's fine. And you're going, no, it's not. But nobody says that. So you're always like on the edge of everything because you know when someone's going to explode, you know when something good is going to happen. And I remember I woke up that day and I don't have a great memory for my past, but I remember this day because I woke up and I knew something bad was going to happen. I just knew it. I kind of saw it, but I didn't know what I was seeing. I saw all these I just saw the people involved. They were like white helmets and I didn't know what a white helmet was. I could see it without knowing I was seeing it. It was just there. So anyway, we went to my granny's house and there was a serious thing that happened in my granny's house and it was devastating. And I said, I saw this. Why did I not? Why did I not come? Why did I not? And because I was so young, I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. But I thought, I could have prevented this had I have spoken up. But when you're getting information, it's not obvious that it's information for like now. It could be for another time. So, and you think people don't need to know those things. They're private things. But I was devastated. And I remember I went up to my granny's bedroom and I was looking out the window and I was so sad. I mean, I was really sad. My parents had split up and that really affected me a lot. Their divorce floored me. And I remember going to school and the teachers, they just said you cried for 6 months. You couldn't teach you or anything. You just cried and cried and cried and cried. And so I kind of just been coming out of that. And then I saw a situation and it was just devastating. It was just too much for me to deal with another thing that was going to change my life again forever. And I remember in my mind thinking, this is it. This is it. This is over. This life is over. I'm done. And I was having these thoughts and then this voice just started calling me. It just called Biba. And I thought, it's in my head, and Biba, because I'd always had someone talk to me in my head, but never outside. And it was calling me and I couldn't figure out who was calling me. And I thought it was outside. And this voice started talking to me and it started explaining to me, this voice was talking to my essence. it was talking to my knowing. It wasn't talking to my mind. It was talking to my knowing that was telling me what was happening before it happened. And this is happening because somebody made choices and they were bad choices, but you're not going to make those choices. And it spoke to me about me. And then that voice has always been there, always. And it wasn't like unusual. I wasn't like, whoa, or frightened or anything like that. It was like the voice of reason. Finally, something or one is talking to me about what's happening. That's real, and I get it on a soul level. And it did say to me that things are going to get harder. It said to me, things are going to get harder, but you'll get through it. So, and life got a lot harder. And I began to really engage with this. And it didn't speak to me like outside, it would speak to me in here. And I was growing up at that time in Dublin, Ireland, which was Catholic. So it was God. It had to be God because God lived in the sky. God lives in heaven. My granny told me that God lives in heaven, and Jesus, like there was a picture of Jesus and he's in heaven. If you talk to Jesus, he'll talk back to you. And so I was already thinking, oh, that's God talking to me. How cool is that? So I'd say to my granny, we have to go to the church. Like I would chase this. I said, we have to go to the church. She was like, why? And she didn't. She lived about 10 minutes from the church, and I would go there every day. Every single day I would go to the church to look for the voice, but it was never there. And I would do Holy Communion, and my granny had a Bible, and I would pretend to be a priest, and I would do this every day, waiting for the voice, but it would never come, ever. And that whatever that was, I instantly knew there's another world. That was nothing to do with what was happening in my family life or my school. It was like, this is another thing that nobody's talking about. And and it got my attention at such a vulnerable time that it just kind of anchored me in whatever that was. So my entire life, since I was 8, let's say, has been anchored in that. I knew adults hadn't got a clue what they were doing. No one knew anything, and they were all making stuff up anyway. I knew when they were making stuff up, like that would just drive me mad. Why can't you just tell me you're sad?
Mhm.
Or why can't you tell me you missed me if you didn't see me for a week? Or why can't you? Because if you can feel it from them as an empath, right?
Totally. What amazes me is that you never lost connection again, it sounds like.
It's really interesting, that question, because I was only thinking about this recently, because nothing is ever obvious in the time. It's always in retrospect when you have time to contemplate these things. And that can be a life's contemplation of things, not just a day or a week or a treat, but actually things settle in. Like we are dimensional beings, and we have dimensions within us, and information and experiences, they go through the layers of our own dimensions within, and then it will come out when we're more curious about it or we're more open. And I remember when things got very hard, I took a lot of alcohol and drugs when I was younger, and I did that because there was too much information in the
'Cause you were
field.
an empath.
Yeah, so I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get as out of my mind
Yep.
as I can.
Mhm.
So I'm just left alone. I can actually just be me. But then you'd wake up and you'd go, oh my God, do that again. That's that went
Mhm.
on. And that went on from when I was maybe 14 till I was 21. I kind of went wild, and I took a lot of drugs, and I took a lot of acid, and I found acid to be the best drug of all. And I'm not promoting drugs, but I did take a lot of acid when I was younger, and I didn't know this until later, but acid made me feel normal. I didn't have a psychedelic trip. I actually felt, in alignment with truth. You know, people take psychedelics to get into alignment of their truth.
Totally. Mhm.
Acid did that for me, and I would take a lot of acid, and my friends would they'll take it for parties, but I would take it like during a day, like a lot. I took it for a whole year once, would you believe that? An entire year. I went to school
Every
on it and
single day.
everything. Yeah, but what happened is no one would have known I was on acid. It just helped me feel normal. And
Yeah.
but the mind can't cope with that. Way too much expansion can burn you out
Mm.
if you go too quick, right?
Your nervous system can't hold that much I information and expansion and light. Yeah.
No, it can't. So I did quit when I was 21. I went into rehab, and I had to learn to find balance and what that means. And you can't live like that. And this depression came, right? I mean, like, I had no access to getting a drink or a drug or just leaving the information field so I can just be left alone. And I remember for the first time in my life, I couldn't feel the connection. It was like, where's it gone? It was so depressing because depression comes from lack of connection. You're not feeling connected to yourself or to life or to anybody. And this stayed for years. Oh man, it was really bad. And I know now I was very depressed or sad, however you want to phrase that, because I didn't feel connected to anything. And I couldn't take drugs because I was clean and sober and I had to do the whole program. And then about 8 years in, I stuck it out a bit because then I got into yoga and meditation and I hated it. I was just like, none of these things interest me. I just need to feel connected to myself and to the reality that's real, the real in here, not out here. Because the one in here makes sense. That divine essence that's talking to me helps me interpret the information that I'm getting. It's like it's decoding all the information for me all the time. And you can meet people and you just know what they're thinking, and you don't want to know what they're thinking because it's usually not very nice. And they're saying shit about you in their head, and you're thinking, why are you saying that? And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're thinking, whoa. It goes on like that. And eventually the connection came back, and I realized I was never disconnected because you can't be disconnected. But I had to go through a lot of change and deal with my past and deal with the type of being that I am. I had to get to know myself. And that takes a lot of courage, doesn't it, to get to know yourself?
It takes so much courage. Yeah. You have to go through the shadows and
Yeah.
journey the underworld to find out what you're not and then who you are. It's a confrontation and it's challenging. I mean, it's the work though. I feel like that's what we're here to do as humans because we live in such density.
Yeah.
So if
It's
we
the
want to
work.
discover who we are, we have to face off with it.
Have to. There's
Wow.
actually no side roads.
Hmm.
You got to go in and you
Yeah, the
just got to
side
keep
roads are
going.
always temporary.
Yeah.
It's like you think you've maybe escaped it, but then it comes back almost with a vengeance, I find, when we're
Yeah.
running. Because it sounds like for you, you were kind of escaping through drugs and alcohol, and then when you stopped, massive depression came in,
Awful.
right?
Mm.
And so I kind of see that as not necessarily the consequence, but what you're being asked to face after escaping for so many years.
Yeah. It was like, really? I mean, really? Can I
Yeah.
just go and dance? I used to love dancing. I just wanted to dance. It was very innocent. It was innocent back in the 90s in Ireland. Everyone, by the way, was taking drugs and alcohol. Well, I didn't
Mhm.
stand out. In fact, I was tame. Everybody. So I went to India and then I went to London and I had to change my whole life. But you have to be also in an environment that's conducive to that. I
Yeah.
did.
What did you shift your environment?
Yeah, I shifted. I left Ireland and I went to live in London and became a yoga teacher. And I had to change my life. I couldn't change in my current environment. I couldn't stay in this environment of drugs and alcohol and dysfunction in Ireland in the 90s and then get to know myself. I had to be around people who were clean and sober and educated. And I mean educated in sobriety and wellness, and that just wasn't available in Ireland at the time. It just wasn't.
Mhm.
But in London, it was like everyone was in rehab, literally, because it
Yeah.
was this awareness had hit the planet that, like, look, you can actually have a really nice life. This is before computers. Do you know what I mean? So it was a different time. Like now we can go do anything anywhere. There's too much information. But back then, like you had to really be intuitively guided to those type of environments because they weren't available to you in your local
Yeah.
environment.
How do you see the access that we have now being supportive, and also how can it be more challenging, especially for sensitives and empaths?
It's really toxic. It's really toxic. And I don't want to be like very negative about all of it, but I observe it and I observe this stream of consciousness running through people. And it's kind of like, it's what I mean by negative is it's so noisy. There's so much information. There's so many different people saying different things. And there's all these new things that are happening. And, it's very hard then to hear your own truth and make an informed decision based on your own contemplation and your own inner dialogue with yourself instead of thinking, well, I read a book and now that's what I believe, or I listened to a podcast and now my whole perception of reality has changed. I mean, for me, you have to meditate all the time, like daily, just meditate and discern what's good for you and what isn't good for you. Not what's real and what's not real, but what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Because as sensitive and empaths and all of these words that we have now for different types of beings, it's extremely helpful. I didn't know what an empath was until about 7 years ago. That kind of started hitting the internet. Oh, an empath. And someone says, you're an empath. And I said, what's an empath? And they were like, you're an empath. And I said, well, what is that? Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. It was like they feel things and they know things and they think everyone's like, you meet someone and you think that that's your feeling and it's not your feeling. And so I looked up empaths and then I was like, oh, that explains like a lot. It's very, very helpful, and then there's like 15 different types of empaths. So hold on. Like what? And then there's like one ET race, but there's an infinity amount of ETs. And it's like, it's just never ends. Get a little bit of information here and there, but primarily find your own truth. And my soul has guided me. So religion, I used that for a while because that was a safe place and I made some good connections and I learned how to do this. And I got into mediumship for a while to learn how to expand my consciousness and connect to different realms. And nothing is the one thing. Nothing is it. Everything is just a stepping stone over the bridge home to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be afraid to let it go. So I would believe something and then 4 years later that I realized that that's not real. In fact, we're here and time is going so fast that we're changing so fast. And so information, it's like being hooked up to the mains and it's like, zzz. So sometimes it's good to knock it all off and to just spend time in nature and know that you're safe and that you're good and you're okay and to meditate. And then your soul will really guide you into what to watch and what not to watch and what to learn. And actually, what have you taken in to your awareness that's limiting and you think it's not? What paradigms are you holding on to? What systems are you holding on to thinking that's reality when it's not? Why not take it all down? Like deconstruct the entire construct, like take it down, like the towers, like boom, take it down and then be empty, completely empty and have no opinions for or against, as Ram Dass would say in The Great Way, like don't have any opinions for or against, become neutral. And all the podcasts I've done of all the really great minds, they say the same thing, just become neutral. Try not to have an opinion for or against. And then the world becomes a very beautiful place because you're not swinging on a pendulum of beliefs or opposites. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's so much that you just touched on. I'm hearing discernment, having discernment, listening to your inner voice, using your intuition kind of as this inner guidance system, right? But in order to hear that, you have to kind of come back to 0 point, right? And there's so many ways that we can do this through nature, through meditation, but becoming still and quiet so that you can actually hear your inner voice and also detach a bit from your identity or any like mental constructs that you're holding on to so tightly. And then you feel, for me, it feels like this sense of spaciousness that's coming online. And from that place, I can be non-judgmental, right?
Yeah.
If somebody is like, well, how do I start? Where would I begin that process? Maybe somebody is listening to this and feels like they're really just living in a state of reactivity, in a state of survival, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
where would they start?
Well, what are you looking at on your monolith? You know, that black device on your wall and on your screen and on your phone plugged in 24/7. Like, what are you looking at? Because that's feeding your consciousness. So if you don't like what you're thinking about, stop looking at that stuff. So you may not even be aware that you're feeling on one side or on another side or agitated with a certain thing or this. It's usually coming from a feed off your phone or off the internet because you've got to pull back from the internet and find your own natural harmonic rhythm. You've got a rhythm, you know what I mean? It's not on the telly.
Totally. I love that so much. It's like, what are you consuming? Just starting with the very basic. It's so basic. Just pay attention to what you're consuming. What are
Yeah.
you watching? What are
Yeah.
you listening to? That's so important. And that requires awareness and slowing down.
Big time, yeah. Because if you
Yeah.
actually want change, then you have to change your behaviors. Joe Dispenza is a master at teaching this stuff, right? He's like, he's nailed it. If you've got a scientific mind, you're gonna love him. And if you don't, you're gonna love him. Like if you want to understand about repetitive behaviors, just check out Joe Dispenza and go down that rabbit hole because it's brilliant. But with the news feeds and the information, like I love David Icke, right? I've been following David Icke and I don't follow him, but I check in to see what's happening out here. Um, and sometimes it's just too much. It's way too much opposition and they this and they that. And then I go about my normal day and I'm like, and they this and they. It's like parroting. It's like his field of awareness blends with my field of awareness. And now I'm feeling like he feels. And I don't want to live like that. And I'll always check him out, but I don't need to be constantly in touch with what David Icke is telling me about reality, because he's getting his information and I can get my own information. You know what I mean? Learn to access your own information. I was blessed in a way because when I was younger, like something was knocking on the door of my consciousness saying, you need to wake up because you're in a difficult situation and it's going to get harder, but you're going to be okay. Just because I have this connection doesn't mean life is any easier. It's not at all. It just means I have a connection to my greater being, by the way, you know, my greater being and my collective team or whoever. And I don't even need to know anymore. It's just that's not important to me. What's important to me is that I nurtured that and it is there, as opposed to always having to know what exactly does it mean. And I love the meaning of things, and it kind of just has distracted me for decades, having to understand the meaning of everything. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, don't worry about the meaning, just your connection in your relationship is more important than the meaning. It's kind of like eating a cake, and the cake is really good, but you're too distracted with what's in the cake. What are the ingredients in this cake? Well, it's like, do you like it? Yeah, it's incredible, but you're not even tasting it because you're too busy talking about the ingredients. You know, not being in the moment with what is, always looking for the next thing and the next thing. And I'm only really becoming aware of how I'm like that, like a lot. Kind of, it does my head in. You know, I have a lot of spaciousness in my life, but that spaciousness can very quickly get taken over with the meaning of life.
Mhm.
Why am I here? Who am I? Where am I from? I mean, these things just go in a loop all day, every day since I was born. It's like it
Yeah.
never stops. I don't think it's ever going to stop. So maybe I should just stop asking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
How do you
ask
stop
questions.
asking?
Yeah, so like when you're in the beginning and you're starting asking questions, like you have to ask questions. But at what point are you just going, okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially if you have like an intellectual mind. I was genuinely addicted to information when I was like waking up and going through understanding. I needed to know everything and I
Mhm.
needed to understand the science behind it and the mechanism behind it. It was honestly just this obsession. I would go down rabbit holes and get lost in them every day. And then like I slowly came out of that. And now I'm very much more focused on using my own intuition as my inner guidance because like you said before, there's so much information and everybody is going to have a different perspective on something. And what if it's all just truth, right? Because it's all just
Mhm.
subjective point of view. Only absolute truth is, I guess you could say, it's consciousness. It's pure consciousness. Anything
Exactly.
else is just a way that it's expressing itself,
That's right.
you know?
That's so right. Like, but that's not enough for people.
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
do you mean consciousness? It's like,
Hmm.
I need more decorations on the Christmas tree. And that's
Hmm.
human nature. It's like, I'm right where you are. I was only having this conversation with my friend today. The only thing that matters is consciousness awareness. Same thing, right? That's it. There's anything after that is up for, I'm just going to stay with being conscious and
Hmm.
aware in decisions in my life where I'm consciously making that choice. Like I'm going to choose to see that person or not see that person because of this. Like no avoidance, no compensating, no people pleasing, you know, just real authentic living where it's like, you know, just how you want to be and who you want to be. Because when you begin to get that itch of like, there's more than what's happening out there. Yeah, there's actually a lot more. It's like infinity amounts of more, infinite amounts. And so you go in and then it becomes an escapism from your actual day to day life. You're like running away from the mundaneness of cleaning your house or having a serious discussion with someone. It's like, I just need to meditate or research or psychedelics or whatever it is. And that's fine, guys, that I got addicted to meditating. I just got kind of hooked on checking out. Disturb me, checking out. Don't disturb me. It's like, you know, big
Hmm.
do not disturb, hostile, right? But it's not because it's meditating, but it is. And
Totally.
Isn't it? It's like hostile, even to my own kid. She'd be terrified of coming into my room. Because when she was a child, I was a born again Christian, so I'd be worshipping God. Don't disturb me. I'm talking to the Lord. I mean, like, how she dealt with me, I have no idea. But it was part of my journey, and it was part of me coming home, and I honor all of it. And I realized one day I was meditating, and I was like going into my day very dissatisfied with what my life, and yeah, just feeling unfulfilled in a beautiful life, unfulfilled. And I thought, what is that? Because I'm not investing any energy into my life. It's all in my inner world. And my inner world is so rich that out here looks black and white because it's color in here and then everything else is black and white. And so I'm just going to keep my eye mask on. And that's not why I'm here. I'm a human being. Yeah, I am. I'm a human being having a human experience. And it's taken me like, I don't know, 40 years to figure that out.
Yeah, to come back down. It's like if you're into New Age spirituality, or even I guess you can approach this from a different perspective. There's this like obsession with ascension and transcendence and leaving the body, but we're here to have a human experience. So you actually have to bring that consciousness back down in and root it into the earth, into the nervous system, and build your capacity to be able to expand, to hold your consciousness. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah, I know. It's not that easy to know that though.
Yeah. And I think that brings us back to your point about information. You mentioned it took you 40 years. I imagine like if I was older, it would have taken me the same amount of time because I lived in a generation then where information wasn't as accessible. It's just happening so much more fast. People are waking up faster. And I mean, there's just so much resource and availability now. So if you were born earlier, you probably would have made that realization faster.
What about the people who think like, I'm not having mystical experiences when I meditate? I'm very visual. When I close my eyes for many, many years and decades, I go to different places and I see different things. And it was a fantastic, scary, but fantastic and overwhelming. And I would just cry then, getting to know myself and my inner world. And then I would just have these experiences that kind of separated me from everybody else. And I thought, well, no one is having them experiences. They don't talk about that in their meditations. Then Joe Dispenza comes out and starts talking about beings in the room. And I'm like, well, yeah. Of course, it's going to be beings in the room when you're like, and different things and having experiences. But then I noticed this kind of thing happening where people are meditating to have a mystical experience. I'm going to put an expectation on consciousness. It's like you're going to get something. This is not about getting anything. It's about actually giving it all away and becoming nothing. It's the opposite. And this isn't like a condemnation kind of conversation. This is just where I'm at. I've been all of those things I'm talking about. That's why I can say those things, because I have been all of those I'm 50 now. And so my entire life has been exploration, like absolutely I prioritize it over personal relationships, over like romantic relationships, over work. Like I've prioritized my self-discovery over everything in my life. It's always been number one. And when we meditate to just, for me, I don't want mystical experiences anymore. Unless there's a meaning to it. Like, what's the purpose of that? It has to have a meaning, because otherwise I'm going to spend the next 10 years sitting on my sofa in another world that doesn't make sense to this world. Well, that's my soul's journey. Well, my soul's having a journey whether I meditate or not. It's doing it anyway. It's like I don't need to meditate for my soul to have a journey. I just think some people might feel inadequate, or I'm not doing it right, or am I having a spiritual awakening? Everyone's having a spiritual awakening and I'm going to go and get ayahuasca so I can get a crowbar into my consciousness and have a spiritual awakening. And it's like, when you go to a kid's party, I had a party for my daughter once and I went to the warehouse where they sell sweets to the shops. So I got like everything, and all the kids got sick because there was so many sweets, and it was great. Okay, because their parents don't let them eat sweets, half of them. So I was like, go for it. Get sick. Just do the sugar thing. And they loved it. And it's a bit like that. It's like way too much and it's overload. And I think it was Dolores Cannon that said, or somebody said, when the earth's going through its shift, a lot of people are going to wake up at the same time, and you're going to witness what it's like when the globe is having an awakening. It's going to be mayhem. And that's what we're experiencing. Mayhem. So there's some real golden nuggets in there. And then you think, well, that person is just not for you. They're not right or wrong. They're just not for you. Do you know what I mean? So go easy with yourself and go easy with the information that's around you. But always know that within inside of you is all of that information. And the greatest power of all, and I mean the real power, is you getting your own information. Because your soul, as you call it, the blueprint, your soul contains all the information you'll ever need. When you go in, it's organic to you. It's like my soul knows what I need. Your soul knows what you need. And me saying to you, well, read this book and do this and do this. Your soul knows what it's doing. It's intelligent. It's a
Mhm.
divine intelligence. It doesn't need me telling it what to do. The
Mhm.
days of gurus and gods is way over. So don't get sucked into gurus and gods, you know?
Yes, that is so important, and I think so needed and necessary right now, that message. For me, my way has been automatic writing.
Mm,
So, yeah, just feeling guided to say that. Some of the stuff that has come through in automatic writing is crazy. I mean, you do it and then you read it and you're like, I didn't write that. Like
wow.
I did not write that. And what the more you do it, the more specific the information becomes. And then it's like, okay, I could not make this up. And then you can even, for me at least, I've fact checked some of the things while I was doing this process. I'm like, I need to know that like what I'm receiving is real. I've like had some stuff come through about like temples and my ancestral line and stuff like that. And I fact checked to see if like, okay, what is this in Italy? Because like my family's from Italy. Anyways, so it's really cool. So I highly recommend automatic writing as an entry point to connecting with your higher self or whoever it is
So
that you.
how do you do it? Like, tell us, how do you
I
get into
mean,
that?
so now I just start writing. Sometimes it's more specific if I'm looking for something, like I want to know something or I want to get clarity on something, I'll ask, I'll write it out. Like, I don't even really do this anymore because I don't really need to. But in the beginning, I would do a prompt like higher self, speak through me, anything I need to know in this moment, or anything about XYZ. Give me clarity on this situation, or what do I need to know about this, or what should I do next? What's the
See, this is
best?
it's
Go ahead.
so good that you have that. So for me it was meditating, for you it's automatic writing, for somebody else it might be something else. Like there's ways in, right? There's ways of getting that inner information out here.
Totally. Dance is another one too, but that's more for moving energy and processing emotion. After dancing, I feel such an expansion in my heart, and then I feel like I'm just led and guided the entire day, like it's crystal clear because I've moved so much energy through my body, probably. Everybody has their own way. Just experiment, explore, and figure out what works for you because it's going to be different for everyone.
I love that you dance in the morning and then your day just goes ticketing on like
That's
that sounds
funny. I didn't even say I dance in the morning, but I do. You just know. I danced before I started this because I was like a
Did you
little bit
really?
anxious. Yeah,
Wow.
I still get anxious, but actually, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. If I do, I should probably edit this out. But I was going to say, I noticed that with you, I was the least anxious. Like,
Great.
I just felt like, I don't know, your energy just feels really light to me. Like, it's
Great. Well,
very welcoming.
you don't need to be anxious because you don't need to be anxious because you're just you and I'm just me.
Yeah, so for me, I've had this visibility wound, and
Mhm.
I call it the witch wound, right? I wanted to start a podcast years ago, and I didn't because of this wound, but I've built my nervous system capacity to be able to be with like fear and doubt and walk with it instead of just totally shutting down in the face of it. Like I've learned to have a relationship with it. And so that's why I'm able to do this. But yeah,
Wow.
being seen was like very, very difficult for me. Being seen in my truth and being
Mhm.
authentic.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the greatest souls like that's exactly it. That's a very big indication about who you are, you see. I would look at that information, not you as a woman there in your world, but like what kind of soul says that? And the kind of soul that says that is the soul that is very rich and very textured and layered and buoyant and beautiful and kind and authentic and powerful. I mean, that's the kind of soul that's very weary of its environment based on previous experiences. So me, people like that, and with the quantum healing work I did over the years, the people who have that to be seen are the most powerful of all the people, actually. Powerful in their essence, in just, and I don't mean power in the world, I mean authentic soul sovereignty power, where you just know truth when you see it and you know discernment and You know when something's real and when something's not real, and you can't hide forever. And so you've decided to just carry it with you. So come on, we're doing this anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, that tells me a lot about you. And funnily, because when you first logged on, because we haven't spoke before, apart from texting or emails, it's like you could do hypnotherapy really well. Like you could be a very successful hypnotherapist because your voice has a certain frequency that's just, it's so beautiful and it's safe. Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for
'Cause you're
saying that.
gentle. You're gentle. You see, you have a gentle spirit, so it's safe and loving. And somebody who feels safe and loving can really assist people in letting go and trusting and dropping into themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, this is a good segue into hypnotherapy because I do have some questions, but I'll just say this. I feel like I do my own form of hypnotherapy in a sense as a
Really?
therapist. I take a somatic internal family system perspective. An
Really?
internal family system is basically, honestly, it's very spiritual. Have you ever heard of it?
Family constellations, is it?
Yeah, it's working with your inner family. And so I
Wow.
have my clients like go through, they're dialoguing with these different parts of them and they're receiving information from them through like image, sound, color, memories. It's really feminine. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like it's not at all a linear process. I know that that's not hypnosis, but in a sense, right? Because you're kind of going, you can go back to these points in time and reconsolidate that memory. You can use visualization to imagine a different outcome.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
That's exactly so, like, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. I think
Yeah.
hypnosis is the wrong word, actually.
What do you think the right one is?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I couldn't spend any more time not knowing, so I just get on with it.
Mhm.
But hypnosis is this is an altered state of consciousness, which means I have a lot more access to information. So you can go onto your timeline and move to the points where the needs recalibrating, like just like what you said, and have those conversations with the family, or you're having conversations and you're realigning, you're recharging or removing the charge if it was heated. You're able to change your timeline basically. That's the facts.
It really is. And neuroscience explains this. If
Does it?
anyone's like, oh, that doesn't sound, but if they're watching this, they probably don't need to be sold. But there's this video on YouTube called the neuroscience. No, it's not called neuroscience of IFS, but it is the neuroscience of IFS. If you type in like IFS explained, it's probably the first video that comes up. But yeah, it's memory reconsolidation. And then because we're integrating that traumatic memory, we're literally aligning with a different timeline. We are then able to step into a whole different iteration of ourselves and
Mm.
attract completely new experiences and people, relationships. And yeah, I feel like that's where the work is.
Yeah, I know. I think you're right about that.
How long have you been doing hypnotherapy for?
The quantum healing hypnosis, maybe 4 years or 5 years. I can't, not long. And then I did lots of different trainings, and then I blended them and merged them. And then QHHTs, like, you have to be an authentic. Don't blend or merge other modalities. So you have to be very, yours is one script and one script only. And it's brilliant. But for me, when I'm dealing with somebody, or when I'm with somebody and they're dealing with a situation that's not part of that training, I'm not going to go, okay, let's just not go there and move over here because I don't know how to help you. I'm just not that type of person. I have to know how to help that person no matter where they are. Because when you have somebody who's willing and brave enough and courageous enough to go in, and they don't know where they're going or what they're going to experience unless they have an intention. So I know I can help you. And no matter what happens, I'm there and we'll do this. And it's a very beautiful process because you are going to change your life. And so I kind of went off the QHHT and I jumped to all these different things. And then eventually it all kind of amalgamated into what I call multidimensional hypnotherapies, because we're moving through dimensions within the person, and we're moving through dimensions, and we're multidimensional, and this world is multidimensional. And all that means is there's different layers to us. So we're accessing the different layers to ourselves, because some of those layers, there's an incident or a memory that's just incoherent. It just is, it's kind of creating a frequency that's interrupting your life. And that has to be dealt with if you have enough awareness to know that that's there. You may not know where it is, but it's like there's there's a situation and I just feel stuck. No matter what I do, I keep attracting guys who are unavailable. They're
Mm.
so unavailable and I've done everything. It's like, okay, or I have a terrible fear of flying and I don't know why. That's psychosomatic. There's no reasonable cause. So we go in and we find it and we tweak it and it's done, right?
Yep. That's exactly. It's so funny. There's just so many different modalities for going in and doing that same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
so you do ET contact regression?
Yeah, I do. I don't really know why I do that. I questioned myself, like ET contact regression. Like, what are you doing? Like, really? Why are you interested? Not like, why would you do that, but why are you interested in doing that? And I feel that there are a lot of people who have experiences and they don't know, and there's nobody to go to, and there's nobody to talk to, and it's definitely not in their friends and family group. So I wanted to create a service where someone can come to me and say, listen, can I just tell you what's happening? And maybe you can help me. So it's a nuance. It's like, I have a feeling that that service is for more down the road. That's
Mm.
just planting a garden and it's growing and people come, but it's not busy. You do get people and I do work with people, but it's not like quantum healing or multidimensional hypnotherapy where a lot of people know about those things now. But ET contact regression is for people who have had contact and want to have sovereignty over their own experiences or want to understand themselves better.
ET contact regression is how I found you, actually. I knew that I wanted to have somebody on the show that did this. I have like an alien obsession, and it's really not an alien obsession, actually, because it's actually more like interdimensional, which there's a difference, right? But anyway, I knew that I wanted to have somebody like that on the show. And like you said, there's not many people offering
No.
this service. It is very rare to find
Mhm.
somebody that's doing that work.
That's a shame though, There are a
Yeah,
lot of people having experiences and
so many.
they're afraid to come forward because they don't really want to know. It's like I kind of got a hunch, but I don't was that real? Oh, maybe I'll just keep it as a dream. But for those who do want to know, like they're disturbed or they're curious, like that service should be available for those people with no judgment whatsoever. People will say to me, "Well, that's not real," and I'll go, "No, we're not in your reality. It's not real, but in their reality, it's real." And what's in your reality may not be real to them. Just because you don't live inside their reality doesn't mean it's not real. So we're all meant to live inside your reality and everything outside your reality is not real. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I have a
Exactly.
helmet on and like everything I see on my helmet's the only thing that's real in this world. Because if you don't look through my helmet, that's not real. I mean, no,
No,
come on.
totally. It's like if you're colorblind, maybe you don't see the sky is blue, and everybody's telling you the sky is blue, and you're like, but it's not blue for me. Are they
Yeah,
wrong?
no.
No, they literally don't see the sky as blue. I think honoring the subjectivity of reality is really important and people's lived experience because just because it's not yours doesn't mean that it's not theirs. Humans have a really, really hard time with this,
Yeah,
but
they do.
I love it. I'm curious, what have you gathered about these? I guess it's so individual, but do
Yeah,
you see any common
it is
themes?
and it isn't, right? You can do this with the work you're doing anyway. I mean, when somebody goes into that space with you and they're having a dialogue with somebody. So I'll say to them, I'm going to count to three. And when I count to three, you're going to let your mother speak to me. And then their mother will speak to me. Or I'm going to count from three, two, one. And when I get to one, I'm going to speak to that ET that's in that room. It's like it doesn't want to talk to you. Why doesn't it want to talk to you? Because it doesn't want to know, it doesn't want to talk to you. And I'm like, well, I'm here. Like, let's just have an open conversation. Like, you have to push it. Or the client may just go, this is kind of odd. So instead of them talking, letting that thing talk through them or that person, then I'll say, well, you ask them this question. So they're the mediator then. You find a way to work with everybody. And with ETs, it's no different. It's exactly the same. I know when I'm working with somebody and there are other beings involved that are not like angels or whatever people are angels or I don't know divine light, this when we're dealing with other entities that may not be in their best interest or just there or they have abductions, they don't really want me to see them, they don't really want to engage. But the thing about it is they're going to engage because they're there. If you didn't really want to engage, you wouldn't show up. So how it works is I'm acutely aware that they're reading my mind, okay? I became aware of this when I started doing this in the beginning. The ET contact regression came out of people doing QHHT going onto spaceships and me thinking, okay, this isn't a past life. This is like yesterday or tomorrow. It wasn't making
Mhm.
sense, right? So I kind of had to fine tune it and get specific training on this. So these beings know what I'm thinking. So I have to be very confident in myself, not cocky. Definitely not cocky. Loving. So you're in your heart the whole time, right? When you're working, you're just resonating that energy field. So I'm full of love and they know what I'm thinking. And I remember the first time it happened, I got nervous and I was aware because I know when something is listening to my thoughts, I have the ability to know discernment in my head. I mean, I know. You just know when someone's listening. It's like they're always listening, but you know when someone's listening. And I thought, this thing is in my head and it knows I'm going to ask it a question and it knows what question I'm going to ask it. And I thought, oh, I felt like someone was behind me. I kind of went for it and that was fine. Let's have the dialogue. Why are these experiences happening? Is it generational? When you're working with families on timelines and different dimensions, it's different. But when you're working with ETs through a person or through their experience with ETs, that being is fully aware of your level of consciousness and awareness, and it's going to play you where you're at. Whether it's good or not, it doesn't matter. It's only going to meet you where you're at. So I would say I would love to just have a conversation with you, and I don't want anything from you. I'm not judging you. I'm just trying to understand consciousness. Okay. What are you doing? Well, we're doing what we always do. And well, why do you go into her room and she's 4-year-old and take her? Why would you take a 4-year-old out of a bed and put it on a spaceship? Like, why? Because that's what we're assigned to do. Assigned by who? And then this is how it gets really interesting, right? An agreement with the family line down, somewhere in the ancestors, right? It's always somewhere, some
Mhm.
agreement. And then I'll go, show me the agreement, like show me in my mind, because I'm visual. Well, I don't know where the agreement is. So you're doing this based on nothing then. Well, I don't know. And you realize something. And I want to articulate this in a way that it helps you understand, or anyone listening, that they are like us. Some are evolved and some aren't. We all are a universe. We all have our own light. We all are equal. We're equal to everything. Everything is equal. There's no hierarchical systems. That's in the false matrix. That's hierarchical. Anything that's a hierarchical is a deception. It's not. You're equal. And you're programmed to think, well, that's a hierarchical. Like I had a Kundalini experience and the Kundalini wants to work with me. So I was in a session with someone the other day and she's inside of Snake of a Head. And I said, you need to level up and find out what is that? What is Kundalini? That intelligence. She had a dialogue with it and it was phenomenal. And her whole perception of it shifted. And then it was just really beautiful. And it's the same with the ETs. It's like, is there an agreement in place that we can, do I know you? Or are you literally just freaking me out? And because I know they know my thoughts, I have to go into this very neutral space, right? And it has to be. Otherwise, you don't really get what you're looking for. I have to not judge their experience or not judge them. Just watching. I'm literally like watching a flower grow. I'm just watching it and interjecting when I feel that I need to. And these beings, like us, have come into this universe and we go through the light and the dark spectrum and the darkest of darks and the lightest of lights. And a lot of these beings also just want to return to their own light. So I'll say to them, but who are you assigned from? Like, who are you working for? And then you'll think, but why are you doing that? But do you know you don't have to do that? So they're like, what are you talking about?
I'm having an insight. I'm understanding this through different
Right.
perspectives because what you're describing sounds like entities. I don't know if you've done ET contact regression on somebody who's been abducted by specifically Greys, but what you're describing sounds like an entity. And actually, I interviewed somebody, Robert Falconer, who is an international teacher for IFS, but he's focused on unattached burdens and porousness of mind, which is bringing like this whole new realm into IFS. So much so that the founder of IFS, Richard Schwartz, was kind of at first hesitant about him coming out with this information. He was afraid that it would discredit the model because it is an evidence-based treatment, right? And now they actually do trainings to work with unattached burdens in level 3 IFS, which is entities. Unattached burdens are entities, and anybody can look this up right now, IFS unattached burdens, and they will find that, yeah, there are these entities, these things that come in from the outside. They're not parts of us. They get attached to us, usually from like trauma or moments where we left our body. They can attach to your system, and we talk to them. What the conversation that you're sharing right now sounds exactly like how we would talk to an unattached burden.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah. And so I'm wondering, and I also interviewed somebody, Gita Rose, who channels Bella of the Yahael. She talks about how greys are humans that have lost their ability to procreate because they detached or disconnected from the emotional body. And so part of the abductions are the hybridization program where they're mixing their DNA with humans to continue their species so that they don't go extinct or whatever.
See, aliens, we're all aliens.
Yeah.
Because what does that mean? It's a term we humans use. You're an illegal alien. But that term, it's like hypnosis. There's too many, it's like an iconic word for a little grey. So there's consciousness, and within the field of consciousness is everything that is. Whether you're an entity which doesn't have a body, whether you're a human, or whether you're an ET or some divine intelligences, and people presume ETs are evolved beings. Just no. It's just, where is their consciousness at? So when I'm working with somebody, whether it's with an entity or with an ET, I kind of take the name off it. I kind of just remove the iconic imagery that's going back into the 70s and movies in my mind. I've got to get rid of that because I'm dealing with consciousness right now and I'm projecting what I think that looks like. I don't need to know what it looks like. I know that I'm talking to it because I can feel it. And I've got a good radar for discernment because of my whole life's experience. So I'm dealing with consciousness, and my role in this work is to gauge where's this consciousness at and why is it invested in that person lying down on that bed. So I'll say to them, this body that's on the bed, what's your interest in it? I don't even call out the name of the client because that will tweak her conscious mind or his conscious mind. I just call the body and then their consciousness, this consciousness on the bed or this body. When I work and deal with consciousness, there's an equality to it. So if this being is very evolved and very loving, it's going to start giving me information about reality and about life and about the earth and about the stars and about the hybridization program and a lot of these people who want to be part of that program, but they've forgotten. So my role is to bring them back to before they were born and say, well, let's define the agreement then. Well, I'm making it up. Well, don't worry about, are you making it up? Just keep going back. Don't let your mind slip in. Just keep going back. And it's like, actually, I did. And then there's a harmony there, right? But I'm dealing with consciousness. So whether it's an ET, and some of these things are sinister. I don't mean evil. I've never met an evil entity, but they're just like, I had a 70-year-old woman, right? Really lovely. And when I started bringing her into hypnosis, she became this really mean, horrible being talking to me. And I'm like looking at her going, I was like, what are you doing? It was like, well, you're not going to get very far today, are you? And I thought, whoa, who are you?
It's like
You're
possession.
You're the reason why she's here. So me and you are going to have a chat. No, I'm not talking to you. So I'm like, I don't have time for this. This is a 20-minute max. This woman's got work to do. You're not taking up this session. No. Well, what do you want? I'm really, really, really matter of fact. I'm not moved. I'm not emotional. I'm like, we've got work to do. And do you want to go home? What's home? You have a light within you. You actually have pure divinity running through you. Well, how do I know that? You're lying to me because they've been dark for so long. And I'm like, okay. So then I bring them, so then I work on them and then they do their thing and then we move on. But with the ETs, usually it's an agreement or it's in the family or it's not like so out there that it's insurmountable and you can't help somebody because they live in another planet. No, it's consciousness. Now, what are you doing with this consciousness? Why are you accessing her? Because her family had an agreement or they are one of us. It always goes back to something that the client never imagined. It's like, it's never been shocking or distressing or it's always been, right, okay, I get it. I get it. It's always been confirming their knowingness already. You know what I mean? So when you talk about entities and when you talk about ETs, it's the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating.
It's fascinating. And I'm really glad that the IFS, what does that stand for?
I'm going to send you a link to something after this because what you're doing is you're asking these unattached burdens to basically leave. You're bringing them into the light. Because everything you're sharing is literally exactly how they speak. The reason this is interesting to me is because it's the framework that I come from and the language that I use because, yeah, I don't know. It's just because I'm a therapist and finding ways to like explain this to clients so that they don't think that I'm crazy.
They don't want to know about this. Clients don't want to know. They're scared of that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, when I first learned about it, I was kind of scared too, just because the idea of working with them or coming across them was
Or what
scary.
you've seen in a movie.
Right.
It's like, well, I saw a movie. It's like, forget the movie. That's a
Mhm.
movie. This is
Yeah.
this is see, when love is present, it dissipates. I've never worked on a client and not been able to remove an attachment ever. And I'm not the attachment. I actually gave up that. I trained actually specifically in entity removal because
Oh,
I
wow.
knew that I did, because in QHHT they don't talk about it. They don't acknowledge it. I'm going, but all these people are like, but
Wow,
that's
that why don't they acknowledge it?
no, it's just not part of their modality.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Just not their modality is very specific, and it's wonderful, but it's not encompassing all of it. And that's where I found my limitations was. I was like, but I keep coming up. I'm talking to other beings. It could be ETs, they could be attachments, they could be sailors from 3,000 years ago. And he doesn't even know he's attached to a 20-year-old. He has no idea he's attached to a 20-year-old girl. He thinks he's a 20-year-old girl. I'm thinking, really? Like, how did that start? And then you have to take them back. The ones that don't go, take them to their trauma. How did they die? Or their
Mm.
last death. Because you have to recalibrate that death for them. So you're working on, as my teacher would say, it's 2 for 1.
It
Like,
is.
but here's another thing. See, this is a lot of information, and people go, entity attachment. Yeah, but everybody has entities. ETs have
Mm.
entity attachment. I have removed attachments from ETs, so they're unblinded by the lie that they're working in a, let's say, for the Greys, and actually they just like don't want to be doing this anymore because it doesn't feel very good. What is my alternative? So you have to know how to help them too. Just because they're ETs doesn't mean they know everything. They absolutely don't. They just have a different perspective than us on reality.
Interesting. I never heard this
It's
perspective
fascinating.
before about or this idea of, like, helping or removing an entity from, like, a ET. Never yeah,
Yeah, because
wow.
if you're abducting somebody, why are you doing that? Like, just curiosity, like, why? And then they don't want to answer you because they don't know why. Some of them are very specific, but the ones I remember, I had a woman come for a session, nothing to do with ETs or attachments, like just a curiosity, consciousness curiosity. And she ended up, we went to a memory, and she says, I'm 4 and I'm sitting, I don't know where I'm sitting. I says, and she ended up, she was on a spaceship, and she says, I'm in a room full of weird looking type people. And I was like, well, what do they look like? She says, they don't look like me. She says, they're horrible actually. And I'm fighting with them, and
Mhm.
I don't want to be here. And she said, there's a room full of them and they're all looking at me and I'm fighting with them and I don't want to be there. And it was a room full of ETs. And I said, let's talk to the head one. Who's the head of the ETs? Who's the head of these people? Because you can't say ETs because I can't put that into her head. Who are these beings, or what are they? And I spoke to it, and it was absolutely uh, hypnotized into thinking that it was dark, and it was programmed. It was running on a program. So I showed it how to unprogram itself. And then when it did that, she was released, and then she went on her own journey. But it's the same for them as it is for us. Why? We're not different. We're
Yeah,
just
they're all
on,
just running a program.
yeah, they're running programs. And the ones then who are
Oh,
here
it's
to
like
help,
autopilot. Yeah, I never
yeah,
thought about that
autopilot.
in the context of yeah, that's really interesting. I never would have thought
Yeah.
about that for something like, grays, like that they're also just programmed and
No, they
conditioned.
don't. They're
I don't
like,
know
it's
why
like
I
they're
never
hypnotized in the program. So, and I don't mean all of them. So I learned over the years that I could do an entity removal and get on with it. And then I thought, there's something kind of cold about that. It's like, well, I'm doing my job, you got to go. It's like an evacuation, like a bounty hunter, you know? And it's kind of got this thing that I just didn't, I thought it just doesn't, it's just, there has to be another way. And then I learned about integration. So you have to also learn that when you are in a memory and you just say, well, I can't handle my parents, or my parents were really bad. And we have to, if we reject something or say, well, I'm just going to let that go, that's not really going anywhere. If it's a long haul. It might for 10 or 20 or maybe 40 years, or when you're on your deathbed, it may come back. But when you integrate it into your heart, so all of your experiences then, I've learned we integrate them all in, all the aspects, all your fractal selves that have checked out or haven't different, we integrate everything in so you become whole. And then you make an agreement that
Mhm.
nothing has authority over you. And Nothing has authority over you, whether all consent is usually a manipulation of a consent because you were vulnerable and you didn't know, or your ancestors had an agreement with this certain, I don't know, years ago, all this witch stuff, and they had agreements with sacrifices. So a lot of kids these days are haunted, and they have these attachments because of what happened 200-300 years ago. We can, as you know, clear all of that if the client is willing.
Mhm.
If they're willing to integrate the experience in, and then when you integrate it in, it dissipates, it dissolves, like boom, it's gone. It's gone. There's no
Mhm.
hold in you anymore.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. And what
you
I'm
know,
hearing you say is you need to have your heart open for integration to occur.
big time.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
And that's
Totally.
your job and my job, right? That's
Yeah.
the safety, love, frequency of love, safety, steadiness, authenticity, and trust. When they are in that space with you, they'll go anywhere within themselves, because will not, in any circumstance, judge that experience, whether I thought it was wacky, right?
Yeah.
Or really, did anything really happen there from the street, and all in between? It's their experience. I'm not here to judge. I am absolutely not here to judge that. How can I judge that?
Right.
This is soul work. We don't get to judge that.
Mhm.
You can judge someone's grades, but you can't. Soul work is personal to each individual.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and not everybody can do that. So your work is very much needed, or you are very much needed because you can approach your work from that state.
Well, listen, I just don't have any fear. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm just not, because something would have happened by now, right? Like, I grew up where things were always moving and doors closing and windows and ghosts and and then the ET stuff, and then my awareness, like you, I was like, what are ETs? And oh my God, are they real? And is that a thing? And hold on, am I an ET? And it's just, and then you
Yeah.
just go, hold on, reverse and just become normal for a sec. And then we go again and take a
And
different
then what
route.
is normal?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can't find that road.
Hmm.
Um, and so when you don't have any fear at all or doubt, you can't ever doubt yourself, because your doubt, those ETs and those entities are going to know your doubt, and they are going to play with you. I had this happen to me. I was like, this thing knows my weakness. I don't
Mm.
like that. So I had to get rid of my doubt, and I did 2 or 3 extra trainings on these things and how to deal with these things. So when I went in again, I was like, no, 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 I got you. You see me and I see you, and we're equal here. I'm not judging you and
Mhm.
you're not judging me. Let's just talk it out. So the more, sometimes I needed training to feel more confident. Maybe I didn't have enough confidence in myself or in one modality. I had to have several. And I've done a lot more training that I say on my internet, because I needed to believe in myself.
Hmm.
Do you know, I had to believe in myself.
Yeah. Well, I think the important thing that you're saying here too is that you weren't pushing away the fear and the doubt. You were actually creating a relationship with it. You
Yeah.
mentioned being equal, right? In a sense, you're including it, right? It's actually the opposite of like resisting it. It's like let's talk, or
Yeah.
like
Well, no,
let's
there's nothing to talk about, because
yeah.
here's the deal. I've just figured out I am myself. Okay. I am my higher self. I am that. And I'm not like going on your podcast going, hey, I'm my higher self, like some like narcissist, right?
Mhm.
What I'm saying is, we are already everything we're looking for. We're already that. We are that. I am what I am. I am that. I am. And we're only beginning to just take the layers off of what we're not, as you said in the beginning. So I'm already that, which means I'm actually going to believe in that. I'm going to choose to believe that, even bypass my story and all my little, issues, and we all have that, and go, my soul, my higher self, whatever you call that, is in charge of my life. And that's that. So doubt, my soul doesn't have doubt. Why would it doubt? It never was born and it will never die. So my perspective is me being my soul. That's how I integrate into the part of me that's going, oh, I don't know, I'm feeling a bit like, as an empath, we're always feeling everything. It never ends. Even before a session, I just get so nervous. And I now know it's not my nervousness.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
I'm not nervous. The client's
Mhm.
nervous.
Mhm.
So I now have access to that information. This empath knows it's an empath. So this empath knows it's not nervous. It's that person's nervous. Okay, there's your information. Why do I have that ability? What's that about? there's no point getting nervous because she's nervous. So I now know that she's nervous. So I'm now going to create absolute safety in this energy field when I log on, because I know she's nervous before I meet her or before I see her. And I create an environment where her nervous system goes vroom, so she doesn't need to feel nervous. And
Mm.
that's how the empath is a teacher to me now. It's not a burden. It teaches me how to read the field and go, what's needed to counterbalance that? How do I counterbalance anger or nervousness or fear or, I don't know, someone who's kind of on the spectrum and can't really communicate, and you're thinking, no, we need
Mhm.
to communicate to get this done. So how do I create connection to somebody who doesn't really know how to do that? And so you can use your empath abilities to um fine tune the environment like an orchestra, so then it can just all play beautifully.
Yeah. I love that. You're accepting that thing and you're creating space around it. Then you can create a connection with it, right? Because there's spaciousness around it.
Exactly. And that's the
Yeah.
awareness, right?
Yeah.
All that has come from the awareness, because if I then go, well, I'm nervous, because I remember when it first started happening, I was like, why am I nervous? And then after about 10 minutes, I go, oh, this isn't mine. Then I'm no good to her if I get in that. Because then
Mhm.
there's two of us in the same energy field. No, we gotta move this energy to a point where you just kind of fly to where you need to go to and do what you need to do. I'm not here to hold you back. I'm not here to mirror you. I'm here to reflect to you truth and light and love and wholeness, and let's go. So doing this kind of work, as you know, you have to really work on yourself a lot.
Constantly. And it's just a continual process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
It is. It's
Thank
great.
you so much for everything that you shared.
You're
Is
welcome.
there anything you'd like to add or anything else you'd like to touch on that you feel like we didn't
Yeah,
get
I
around
tell
to?
you why. Because uh, people people are going to go, do I have an entity now? Okay. And this stuff used to scare me before I had any information or any knowledge. And so all you need to know is that if this has made you feel a little bit, oh, it's that you didn't have that feeling before you heard us talking, all you need to do is close your eyes and talk to your body and just say to your body, I do not give authority to any attachment to be in my energy fields, because an entity isn't attached to your body. You have an energy field. So if I'm doing a reading for someone and I'm bringing in their past loved one like a medium, their essence is blending with my essence. It's like two clouds of energy become one. They're in your energy field. They're not in you. Nothing is, you're sovereign to yourself. You're the only one in you, but you can have your energy field can be busy. So learning to clear your energy field and to state every day that nothing has access to me or my energy field without my consent, knowingly or unknowingly. Like learn how to take charge of your life, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
take
so spot
control.
on. Yeah,
Mm,
exactly. It's not inside of you, it's not a part of you, it's something that's
no.
attached out here. It's in the
Yeah,
field. Yeah.
yeah. Exactly. And when you're doing mediumship, which is just connecting to other realms, like they don't see. So if I'm connecting to someone comes to me for a reading, and I don't do readings, but I'm trained in that, and that helped with this work a lot, by the way. Mediumship training and this work is just they're just such a beautiful combination. I learned that when that soul is looking to talk to me, to talk to that person, they don't see me. They see my energy field. So it's like your cat doesn't see you, it sees your energy field first before it sees you. So we are energy. We think we're solid, but we're not solid. We're energy.
Mhm.
Think that everything has to have a solid form. We're in a 3D world, which is the material world, but everything outside of this world isn't material.
Exactly.
So remember that it's not on you or on your back or in your head, or it's your energy field. And that's something that's very easy to work on, as you know, and you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that because I'm sure, when we have these types of conversations, it's natural
Well,
for people to be like, "Oh my gosh."
yeah. This isn't
Yeah.
love and light and let's all
Yeah.
ascend up to the heavens. This is the stuff in between all that comes up for everybody. And when you go through an awakening, you're going to face real darkness within yourself. And
Mhm.
when you change, you're going to have to face parts of you that you don't like, and you're
Mhm.
going to have to learn to love those parts. And when you
Yeah.
learn to love those parts, these entities leave. When you hate yourself,
Mhm.
guess where that's coming from? When you
Right.
hate how you look, that's not you. Does your
Mhm.
soul hate how it looks? I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen to the thoughts and begin to love that which you are, and then these things have nothing to hook on to.
Yeah. So how can people find you if they want to maybe if they feel like they have something going on that they want assistance with and maybe want to check out your
Well, you do
hypnotherapy services?
exactly the same thing as me. So they can
For
go to
your
you first and see how they get on. No, I have it's a quantumhealing.health is my website, um and your stuff is the same as mine. I'm very interested to know. So share also in the link of the description here what you do, because I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, and I'll send you some stuff through email
Yeah,
too.
please. That'd be
Um,
lovely.
One of the reasons why I'm here as Jessa and not Jessica, my full name is Jessica Bruno, which is like the name that I'm licensed under, is because I wanted to give myself full permission to explore stuff like this and
Mm,
have conversations about it that, you know, I wouldn't with my clients. So
mhm.
it's definitely not trying to bring in therapy clients through this, but hopefully actually I might expand into different services separate from my therapy practice so I can kind of just bring in more language around this stuff and have more freedom because being
That's
tied in
brilliant.
with the licensing board is not fun.
That's so clever, because I remember when I was doing quantum healing, I was really, really, really busy. You're always booked up, right? But
Mhm.
then I did start doing ET contact regression, and people were like, "Oh, ET, no, she's a quack. Need to
Mm-hmm.
stay away from her. She's going to talk about ETs. They're not even real." And I realized that it went very quiet, and then a whole new wave of people came in, and I thought, wow. So you're very wise in what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's wise. You're minding yourself in between those two parts.
Mhm.
And you'll find it'll just come. It'll just come organically when it's meant to.
Yeah, I feel
Mm,
that for
yeah,
sure.
definitely. It's been really lovely talking to you.
Yeah,
We have
you
so much in
too.
common. It's a lovely thing, isn't it lovely?
It is. I'm so glad we connected. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed just everything that you had to say and also just who you are as a human. Like I feel like you're a special soul.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So are you.
Thank you
A
for being
special
here.
soul. Thank you for having me.